Good afternoon and welcome back to this teleconferencing of PGDHHM program. Before the break, Dr. Gandhi has given you very comprehensive view of primary health care. What is primary health care? He told you about what are the various elements, the 8 elements of the primary health care. Then what are the various approaches to the primary health care. He talked about the community participation, intersectoral coordination, and then intersectoral coordination, and then there's appropriate technology and community participation. So I think by now you must be very well aware that what is primary health care. And then he also discussed about that how this primary health care can be made available to the community through their participation. So these are the things which has been already given in your blogs, and I think you must have gone through that thing. Now this in particular session we are going to cover another important area. If you see that what is happening, I think by now you must be very well aware that the cost of medical treatment is going higher and higher. If you compare 10-15 years back, there can be various reasons for that, the rising cost of the medical treatment. It may be due to the incoming of the corporate sector, maybe the poor services or the not desirable level services at the public level, public health sector, or there may be other factors also that people don't want to go to the public sector hospital. That in 1994 I did a study in the Punjab state in 6 districts, where I came to know that what is happening around, that people were not willing to go to the government hospitals because they felt that the services provided at the government hospitals are not up to the mark. And another very interesting point which came, which I observed during that study, that there is a interpersonal competition also. Like, my neighbor is going to private hospital, why should I go to the government hospital? And in that process, several people I interviewed, I have got the taped interviews of those patients, that they don't want to go because their neighbor has gone to the private hospital, and it becomes a prestige issue. Why should I not go to them? And then in that process they have sold their lands also. They have borrowed the money also. So I think that is another phenomenon which one need to look into, that because if we are working at the managerial level, administrative level, we need to look whenever we are saying that health is not only the domain of the medical personnel, it is not restricted to 3 Ds, that is drug, doctors and disease. It is much more than that. There are various, like I told you, these social factors are operating there. And then another important thing at that time point, 94, I am telling that preference for girl child. And you will not believe that, I don't know whether it was exploitation or that was one of the reasons for rising cost of the medical treatment. In one patient, one lady undergone 9 ultrasound to confirm whether she is carrying a male child or female child. I don't know whether the procedure was wrong or whether what was the psyche of the doctors, or this is unexplainable. So anyway, that cost is increasing, sophistication in treatment is increasing, and people's expectations are also varying. So now, how to curtail this cost? I think that one way is that to maybe government intervene and give subsidy on this, or improve the quality of medical care in the public sector. Then another way is that health insurance, like we have got two good examples in the country, that is CGHS scheme and ESIC hospital. They are providing to their employees. I think these are two good examples of health insurance scheme. Now if you see, there are so many private sector has also come into the play, and there is a third party arrangement is there for the health insurance. So this health insurance become very important in order to take care of the rising costs. And now in this particular session, in next half an hour or so, we are going to discuss about that health insurance. What is this health insurance, and what are the various issues involved in this, and what are the various facilities, and how it can be made available to the other people. So I will request Colonel Rao to tell our learners that some of these aspects of the health insurance.
As Dr. Arora has already brought out various issues concerning health insurance, and like he has brought out very relevant topic about rising cost of healthcare and people not affording this healthcare costs, and ultimately becoming bankrupt also, because they are selling off their land and their assets, and ultimately what is happening is government is also not able to provide the complete health care which it is supposed to, because health is a fundamental right, and under that we are supposed to provide complete or comprehensive healthcare services to all the citizens of India, which may not be possible in any country for that matter. So increasingly you will find that there are various other methods of healthcare financing which are coming up. One of them is most important aspect is health insurance, which needs to be given a closer look in terms of managerial aspect, in terms of administrative aspects, and impact on the society, which is very, very important aspect. So I'll cover this health insurance topic under various aspects which has been already discussed by Professor Arora. First of all, as he has already said about the definition of the health, health is a complete physical, mental and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So this WHO's definition has its own implication in the health insurance. So health insurance sector is growing at 40%. You must know these figures. I think as a students of hospital administration or healthcare administration, we need to know where this country is going and what is happening to the healthcare expenditure. It's around 103,000 crore rupees industry which is there. It also includes 86,000 crore which is spent on the healthcare delivery, and 17,000 crore approximately spent on the pharmaceutical industry. So 5.2% of the GDP is being spent on the healthcare overall. This includes the private sector, this includes the government sector, this includes all the sectors, and this can be compared with most of the developing countries. But here the catch is this, that the government is spending too less on the healthcare sector. Most of it is the private sector which is spending on this. So healthcare insurance is actually started growing slowly from 2002 or 2003 onwards, and there are 100 crore entry capital is required for health insurance sector. Private health insurers to come into this. That is the IRDA's ruling, that we will see one by one how it has started acting. Public hospitals have failed, as Professor Arora also said this, that to provide free and low cost quality care to the people, and at present, as a result, there is an increased financial burden. That is 83% of the estimated 1,036 rupees is out of pocket expense, which is found to be one of the important reasons of indebtedness in rural areas. Public health financing is also inadequate. Almost 0.9% of the GDP is being spent on the healthcare. Rest all is being spent through the out of pocket. So government actually decided to bring in healthcare financing through the insurance. The popular policy, all of you are aware about Mediclaim, which was introduced in 1986-1987 by subsidiaries of GIC, that is General Insurance Company, to support this ailing healthcare industry. But unfortunately, the coverage has not increased much. If you see the coverage, private health insurance is covering around 4 million lives, Wage-based insurance is approximately 30 million lives. Community-based insurance, like what Professor Arora was also mentioning in his own way, he was mentioning about various other schemes which have come up, like your micro insurance schemes like Seva, Yashaswini scheme, and various other schemes. We will talk about that subsequently. Employer-based insurance, which I also belong to defense services, so we have this employee-based insurance in the terms of providing complete comprehensive health care to our clientele in armed forces. Similarly, railways are also providing, and various other government institutions and public sector is also providing complete health care. Government spend, as I said earlier, is 0.9% of GDP, which is slowly increasing through various 5-year plans, and now it is supposed to touch approximately 2% of the GDP. It's expected to reach that in this particular financial year. Purchasing of healthcare is inefficient. As I said, 60% is financed through out of pocket, and this is where our health insurance comes in. Now the principles of health insurance, you should be very, very clear. It works on the risk, which is risk pooling, what we call. Health insurance works on the basic principle of cross subsidization between young and old, healthy and sick, rich and poor. And the basic aim was social welfare and provision of good health care for individuals and groups. So what are the strengths? Strengths are expected to boost the private sector and increase accessibility to health care. Weaknesses are the chances of widening inequity between masses and creating a dual system of care, because government hospitals are already functioning. Opportunity, source of financing to the starved health sector, and threat is can escalate healthcare cost, because that is also happening simultaneously, that whosoever is insured, people are asking more money from that particular person. This is a universal phenomena. In case of car insurance also, you must have seen that people are asking more money to repair the car if the car is insured. What are the problems and challenges in this healthcare insurance or hospital insurance or this health insurance? There are hospital related. I will divide it into various heads like insurance policy, hospital related, patient related, or TPA related, which Dr. Arora was also mentioning that this has also entered. Hospital overcharging by some healthcare providers from insured people, as I said, like car, differential rates for cash and insurance patients in the hospitals. In many hospitals, a doctor's charge is negotiable in higher class rooms and comprises 70 to 80% of total hospital bills. Average length of stay in nursing homes where occupancy is low. Manipulation of the patient's history to make it as a inpatient from outpatient. So patients getting discharged from the ICCU directly or ICU directly. Some hospitals are extracting maximum permissible claim through nexus with the clients. So nexus is also one of the important issues which has started with the clients. Differential tariff rates for similar services in various hospitals. So this is again a very, very common phenomena, that in different hospitals you will find different rates for the same process or same procedure. Unrelated investigations are on the rise, like he mentioned example of ultrasound 7 times occurring. So this is increasing healthcare cost, and this is also adding to the cost of the insurance also. Now insurance policy related, insurance products are not designed properly at many occasions, creating confusion in the minds of the clientele. Premium is too low for the sum assured. Average premium should be more than 2 to 3%, but actually in our country it is even less than 2% or 1% at times. Low competition and inadequate range of products. There is no ceiling on room categories. Policy exclusions are not very clearly defined. For instance, if a person while taking insurance is suffering from hypertension and hyperlipidemia, so cardiovascular diseases are also to be covered or not to be covered, that is not defined properly. So need for a medical checkup before the commencement of the policy if feasible. These are some of the insurance company related. So what is for the policy holders? Members converting outpatient procedures as inpatient, this is also a problem. Approximately 6 to 7% of people have lodged a claim compared to 3.2% of population with inpatient episodes. Fraudulent charges claims are on the rise. It is said that in this country we have approximately 150% claims ratio. So insurance companies are going to have problem with this. persons with high probability to fall sick buys insurance and not the young ones who have less probability. As I said, it is a risk pooling. Insurance is a risk pooling business. So if the young are not getting insured, obviously there is going to be a problem. Healthcare spending of population with insurance is thrice that of the population without insurance. Now the insurance company is trying to put this healthcare insurance this background into other insurance. I mean, they are spreading their risk onto other policies like life insurance policy and various other claims policies or assets policies, and that is how they are able to sustain in this. So no standalone health insurance player is there in the market, except now of course newer players have started coming like Star Health and Allied Services, which is only a health insurance player, whereas others are all players in the life insurance and various other sectors. Now the government, as far as what Dr. Arora was also mentioning about government related functions or problems, that absence of institutional framework for accrediting, monitoring, regulating and adjudicating. So now slowly this has started coming in the form of IRDA, it has started coming in the form of accreditation, in NABH has started and they have started in collaboration with IRDA. IRDA is a very important stakeholder in NABH, National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Providers, which are trying to standardize treatment protocols, standardizing the tariff rates. All this, unless this happens from government side, it will be very, very difficult for insurance to sustain in this country. And the regulatory bodies like Clinical Establishment Act, which is due now at the national level, various states have already promulgated, like West Bengal has a Clinical Establishment Act, the Bombay Nursing Home Act is there, Delhi Nursing Home Act is there. Similarly, at the national level, we have a pending bill of clinical establishment which is likely to be passed in the parliament soon, and it will be promulgated, and there will be at least some minimum guidelines or minimum level of care, patient care, which will be offered in these nursing homes. What important factor he was mentioning, Dr. Arora, about the third party insurers is also very, very important. Third party administrators, they are the parties which are tying up with the insurance company as well as with the patients as well as with the hospitals. So managing cost is a big problem for TPAs. As rates are not controlled. Rates is one other very, very big issue. Minimum standards of care is not clearly laid down, that we have already said. Choosing appropriate service provider is becoming a challenge. Claim settlement, especially of government-based policy like Mediclaim, takes a longer time. Smaller nursing homes and some of the hospitals are being avoided by TPAs. So actually the network, it's a vicious circle. Network is falling short, and smaller nursing homes are being avoided because of the correspondence or unnecessary documentation which is required. Various other general factors are also there, like poorly regulated insurance market is there, skewed health risks, interconnection between poverty, unemployment and ill health, prolonged lifespans, increase in risk factors for disease burdens, and various other standard treatment protocols, etc. I have already mentioned. There is no database as such for post-surgery complication rates, no database for hospital infection rates, and there is no DRG system or diagnosis related groups we have formed in this country, which will take time. Already accreditation has started, but we need to put more efforts on that. So I have some recommendations for various agencies like hospitals in terms of healthcare insurance, like accreditation and standardization has to be there. A regular orientation of the doctors regarding health insurance should be there, so that they get more idea and able to educate the clientele. Concept of negotiable doctors' fees should be discouraged as far as possible. Then the various recommendations for third-party administrators also should be taken into consideration, that their network has to increase now. They should include more and more hospitals, especially from the rural areas where their reach should increase. TPAs should be directed for faster settlement of claims, which will increase the interest of the clientele or the people in the health insurance schemes. Selecting some specific hospital for group insurance policies where the hospitals will be assured of some volume of business, so that they are able to give you more discounts and your claims ratio can be easily subsidized. Indoor case papers and medical histories can be made a regular document. All the problems should be supported by a positive investigation report. Empaneling hospitals with fixed hospital schedule and not encouraging hospitals with negotiable doctor's fees. So there again the standardization question comes. Frequent visit to the hospital to meet the patients in the hospital. This is also one of the recommendations. Various policy exclusions should be made very clear from the life insurance policies or the health insurance policies side. Capping in the room category, that means again standardization of rates, and various other aspects of allowing cataract surgery in not in the first year, in the second or third year, and some of these measures can be taken by insurance companies, creating more awareness in the health insurance sector, strong underwriting and claims management. This is very important area, and controlling costs by managing or controlling hospitals by giving them standardized rates. That in the West it is already called Health Management Organization or HMO concept, what we call. That should be practiced here also. Recommendations for the government should control this by allowing more people into this business, by reducing the capital requirement from 100 crores to 30 to 40, 50 crores, which will allow a lot of other players to come into this. Accreditation and benchmarking we have been saying again and again, because that is where the standardization of treatment will take place, standardization of facilities will take place, and more people will be able to avail this standardized service, and health insurance will be able to save some money, and its reach can increase. Invest in training doctors, providers, health economists, cost accountants, epidemiologists, hospital managers, record keepers, because all this data is required for health insurance. We unfortunately in this country we do not have much data for the health insurance to thrive in terms of epidemiological factors, in terms of morbidity data, in terms of exact infection rates, in terms of post-operative complications. So these are very important areas where the government needs to work for making these databases available. Various recent initiatives have already been done by IRDA, that is coordination between insurers and TPAs through regular meetings. These meetings are being arranged. Micro insurance, as we were saying initially, to increase the reach of this healthcare insurance, we need to introduce this micro insurance at a rural level. The government tried through universal health insurance scheme which they had come up, but it needs to be enforced by PPP models and various other models which required to be worked out for micro insurance. There is another initiative which has been taken, is Health Insurance Working Group. This is very important. This has members of all ESI, CGHS, corporate hospitals, insurers, TPAs, actuaries, NGOs. And another thing which they have come up, as I was saying, that IRDA has tied up with NABH to start accreditation at a bigger level and give only those people, hospitals which will have an accreditation, they will be allowed to be a player in this business. Then micro health insurance I thought I will touch upon, because this is a very important area, because India is actually living in the rural areas, more people are there, and health has to reach to all these people. Because as it was mentioned, even in the villages, people don't want to go to government hospitals, they prefer private groups, private hospitals. So that is where the reach has to increase. So predominant reason for introducing micro health insurance is to enhance access to health care and protecting from financial burden. So particularly poor and undeserved people, underserved people have to be, there are various states where these micro health insurance schemes are going on. Prominent of them are Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Karnataka. Especially Karnataka I would mention about the Yashaswini scheme. Gujarat, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Bihar also has started with this insurance, micro health insurance schemes.
Can you a little bit elaborate on this? Yes, because that
there
is
are
community based.
Yes, there are various models actually now in the micro health insurance schemes. These models are provider based, these are user based, linked models also they are called. In the Yashaswini scheme, actually what has happened is they have contacted third party in terms of private hospital. The payment is done by the government by collecting very small amounts, minuscule amounts from the farmers who are, that is what risk pooling what we call. All the farmers are paying money. So if one farmer requires a CABG to be done in a private hospital, government is able to spend money on that, and then the insurance manager who's there is able to support is through the other risks. And some subsidy of course is there from the government side because this needs to sustain in the initial phases. So Yashaswini scheme is a very popular scheme in Karnataka where farmers are being given cardiac care through various hospitals, like one of the hospital very famous is Devi Shetty's hospital, Narayan Hrudyalaya, which has done more than 5,000 surgeries in this particular scheme. And also in Gujarat also similar micro insurance schemes are running like Seva, where women are actually contributing very small amounts of money from their personal savings. By they may be selling vegetables, they may be selling various goods and depositing this money with the insurance people. This is again started through a cooperative trust, that is the dairy based trusts which are there, what we call in Anand also, and these are actually started from there only, from the cooperative sector. And this Seva scheme has become very popular micro insurance scheme there, and they are subsidizing your healthcare costs through, though of course the co-payments are there in this, because entire payments it is not possible for them. They can cover you up to a certain cost only, like 50,000 or 60,000 rupees. Rest of the payment has to be done, what is called in insurance parlance co-payments. Co-payments are the order of the day in any scheme, whether it is government subsidized or not. Private insurance also you need to pay co-insurance. So various micro insurance schemes like Dhan, Yashaswini, Tribhuvan Das, BAIF, these again cooperative based schemes, Uplift, Seva, Karuna Trust, Nidan. All these are popularly known, and you must be hearing a lot of media news about this also. And what should be the good micro insurance policy? Why it is, what is the basis of these principles? Relevant to the risks of low income household, as inclusive as possible. Though of course it is not possible to include each and every illness, but as inclusive as possible. Affordable premiums payable in small amounts, because they have a small savings schemes going on, so they can give you only small amounts of money for this purpose. Clearly defined and simple rules and restrictions should be there, so that people from the villages can be able to understand and there is no confusion in their minds that whether this is allowed or not. Easily accessible claims documentation requirement, fast payment of benefits, specially adapted with client education. Now client education is a very big factor in these micro insurance schemes. Strategies to overcome the adverse selection, moral hazard and fraud. Now this, what is happening is, these are community based schemes. So community cooperative schemes have to take care of this, that there is no moral hazard and fraud involved in this. So only trusted people will be able to give money to, because they are paying through their own savings, micro savings which are there. So I think I will stop here in terms of health insurance, and any other questions related with health insurance, if they are there, then I think I'll request the audience as well as from the centers also.
Oh, yeah. I think thank you, Colonel Rao. I think you have given very comprehensive view of health insurance in the country, and what are the various prerequisites and what are the various models which are already going in the country. Dr. Gandhi, I have got with me Colonel Vimal Sharma. So would you like to give some more inputs to our learners?
I'll just narrate two conditions which they can understand the importance of the insurance. I am from the ESIC, just like Colonel Rao is from the Defense Services. So we used to say one simple word. Our ESIC covers from womb to tomb. If you can understand this concept, it covers everything. Or you can also say it covers from gravida to grave, or cradle to grave. And second condition which I would like to repeat is, for a small handful of contribution. Colonel Rao has repeated it so many times again and again, small contribution. So we say like this, for a small handful of contribution, you get maximum bag full of advantages. So you have to contribute very little, but the major chunk will be shared by most of the people. So if you can understand these two conversions, a lot of insurance can be explained by means of this also. Colonel Sharma.
So very well, he's covered most of the aspects of health insurance. As he discussed about the rising cost and the worry related to this, that at times the moment the person sees that he is insured, the cost of the treatment is increased. Accreditation is already come into it. We have to emphasize more on the various protocols of treatment. That is covered in the accreditation. More and more protocols of the treatments are fixed and are implemented in the hospitals. We will have this problem of inflationary bills lesser and lesser, and health insurance will be able to cover a wider scope, which is answer to the health problems in this country.
So I think everybody here present agrees that it is the need
Must
of
is
the
the need of the
It is the
hour.
need of the hour.
No doubt about
in
it,
that.
yes. But in a more meaningful way.
Yeah.
And I think, as Colonel Rao was telling, we need to look into some issues like accreditation and other things. We need to put the things in place so that very well organized, low premium, need-based health insurance is provided to the most of the people in the country.
Yes.
So that need to be taken.
I think, Colonel Rao, you must agree with me. Accreditation also started in a big way now.
Yes.
Because I think in the coming years, it will come in a big way.
That is right.
That will going to be really boom to all the hospitals also.
Actually, accreditation, I am also very closely linked with accreditation. I am
Yes.
one of the technical committee members of NABH, that is National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Providers, which is covering entire India. We have already got 20 hospitals accredited in all the sectors. It is not that only private hospitals are coming up. Also, the government sector is coming up in a big way. Even in the armed forces, we have applied at least for the 7 hospitals for accreditation, though it is a totally monopoly as far as clientele is concerned. Still, we want that the quality of care and standardization should set in to our hospitals in a big way. Similarly, all the Gujarat government, West Bengal government, Tamil Nadu government, all of them have come up with this accreditation, that is NABH. They have applied for that for all the hospitals. Also, even the primary health center and sub-centers as well as district hospitals of various sizes, they are also following what is called Indian Public Health Standards. IPHS standards have come up and they have been published by the Government of India, and they are freely available for you to see, for the students to see on the website of Ministry of Health, Government of India. So these standards are also some minimum level has to be maintained of the standardized healthcare protocols and various other aspects of the healthcare. So yes.
Is accreditation a mandatory component if somebody wants to claim the health insurance, or we can still manage if the hospital is not accredited?
Yes. So accreditation, a basic concept of accreditation is a voluntary. There are difference between accreditation and licensing. So licensing is a mandatory requirement or a statutory requirement, whereas accreditation is a voluntary requirement. Accreditation is a step higher than licensing. That is what.
Accreditation like different levels, a small nursing home or the big hospital, 500 bed
Yes.
or a tertiary.
There are
Yes.
different
Yes.
norms for different. There are
Yes.
different norms for.
Yes, absolutely. So what has NABH has made a little progress in this issue, that they have come up with the NABH accreditation standards for secondary and tertiary level hospitals, and they have also come up with the standards for small healthcare establishment, what madam is asking, that is 50 beds and less a hospital, which are there, which is a commonest thing. If you see the data of Indian private hospitals, most of the hospitals are 30 bedded. The common data CII McKinsey report, what is normally available now, is the most of the hospital, 90% of the hospital belong to this category of 30 beds and below. So this hospital also need to be covered. So NABH has already come up with the accreditation for small healthcare establishments, in which there is a little less standards are there, but they are comprehensive standards. Yes.
An issue related to this is, I mean, to increase the footprint of health insurance.
Yes.
Unless standards are set in, or unless accreditation increases, I mean the presence of accreditation, I think the issues of portability of
From one
will
to
also
Yes.
be in doubt. I mean, more portability means more people will take insurance, and that is going to increase the financing, healthcare financing in a big way, and it is going to set in motion
Absolutely.
big coverage. So issues of portability are also there as
Yes. Portability is one of the issues from one policy to another. That is also a very, very important issue to increase the network also. Choices are given, wider
more
choice.
interested to take insurance, and that initial hesitation will go.
Yes.
That will increase financing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
NABH is on the same line of this NABL. Laboratories have started
Yes,
before,
laboratory.
National Accreditation Board of Laboratories.
Yes.
Just like your La Laboratory, and there are so many laboratories who are accredited
Absolutely.
for laboratories, same way. It is going to come in a big way.
Yes, yes, it is already coming.
Coming, yes.
A lot of hospitals have applied
Already applied
also.
for it.
They are in the various stages of accreditation.
Sir, I have a question from the panelist. This insurance, is it a counterproductive thing? Just like if your car is insured, you are likely to make it rash driving, you can take chances. Is it in health, is it in the same way? And my second question is, what are you doing about, how will you manage the pilferage? Means like LIC is investing in share business, then everything goes. It will indirectly affect the person itself. Then these two parameters of the health insurance, are they safeguarded even in micro credit policies and other things?
Yeah. As would anybody like to address that? I have already said in during covering this that this is a very big risk which is there of fraudulent claims, and claims ratio is very high in health insurance business. That is why these are the problems, actually these are the challenges in our health insurance business, that private industry, private healthcare industry is not able to penetrate to a larger mass, because they are very cautiously going step by step, in fact. That is why, because this is a known phenomena that there is a nexus, there is no standardization of rates, anybody is negotiating, doctors also having a nexus with the clients and claiming more and more money. So that is why this needs to be safeguarded against. Whenever you are actually implementing this, you need to safeguard against these things, even in the micro insurance where the money amount is very less. So the person who's managing your funds, he has to be very, very honest, very clear about what is to be given premium, what is to be given the claims or not. The claims have to be investigated thoroughly, and then only they need to be given.
Even clients has to be
Even
honest.
clients also need to be honest.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
Is there any regulation on the other side, like if a patient claims his health insurance, there is always a sort of resistance on the part of health insurance companies also, many technical problems and all are created. So are there any regulations for those companies that patients should not be harassed for taking their claims?
Yes, yes, there is. That is why they have introduced in 2002. They introduced this TPA concept by IRDA. That is where the IRDA has come in a big way, where they have introduced third-party administrator, so that you provide a cashless service to the clientele. It is a cashless service where patients just take the insurance card with them and get registered. But TPAs are also smart, so what they do is they need an authorization. They want that hospital should fax or communicate on telephone immediately that what is this patient which was admitted, and what are his chances of getting operated, or any procedure is being contemplated, what is the history, background, all those things are validated, and the authorization is then given to the hospitals. That is why, as we were discussing, if it is a sort of a fraud, then obviously your chances of it goes down. So I think I have answered your question.
Yes, Professor Rose, honesty has to come from both the sides. Then only it can play, yes.
One way of limiting the fraud would be to, set a limit in making the claim.
Yes.
Like most of these government medical insurance schemes, there is a nexus between the clients, the nursing homes, the doctors, the chemists, as well as the agent of the insurance company.
Yes, yes. That is why we have said earlier about the DRG scheme or diagnosis related groups. There needs to be a lot of work to be done in this sector, where we need to work out diagnosis related groups and then decide that, okay, you undergo an acute appendectomy, for the acute appendicitis you undergo an appendectomy, then you need to be paid this much if you get operated in X city or Y city, right? So that work needs to be done. That is why you need a huge database for all these things to be made. That is why we were saying that training has to be there of the doctors, of various people in this aspect, whosoever is participating, whosoever is the stakeholder in the health insurance.
So,
But I think
in a country,
as the time passes by, these are the initial problems which are emerged with the system, As the time passes by, this all will settle down and we will emerge out with a good health insurance schemes which will address all these problems.
And people will also become honest.
Yeah, they will become honest.
Hospital
The more
people will also
transparent
become
system will
honest.
come in. We are already realizing these problems. As you all are aware, the government is also aware of these problems. The regulations will fall in place and probably in the years to come, we will see that these policies are working well.
Yes.
so in a country like India where most of the people are still below poverty line, is it not going to be heavy on the pockets of poor people who are not insured?
Yeah. That
I
is
think Professor has already explained that
Yes.
Micro insurance
That is
are
why
always
micro insurance, in fact, the government came up with this, this particular government which is in power right now, they have also come up with this universal health insurance scheme, with where the people of rural areas and people, underprivileged people, they pay only very less amount of money, very less contributions, but that the pool has to increase. That is why the awareness has to be increased, that this is for your good. Even if you are paying 2 rupees today or 10 rupees today, that will help you in the times of when you are sick or somebody in your family is sick. That awareness is still not there. So awareness percentage, in one of the studies it came out that it is not even 2% awareness in terms of entire country. A comprehensive study was made, yes.
I think what has come in the US market, which is much more evolved than ours, and
Yes.
finances are not an issue as much as it is in India. Even there, I mean, as Colonel Sharma was saying, that all this will settle down. It will settle down. Newer and more challenging problems will come. And like they have now, they have this medical savings account, wherein that pool can be used for post-retirement issues also once that provision is there. So the initial hesitancy of people paying for the medical care and not knowing whether I'll ever be able to avail it, that also goes. So I think newer and newer challenges will come and that needs address.
New solutions will also
Yes,
come.
newer solutions will also come. So it will always be in a flux.
That's why the insurance policies, the products have to be designed in such a manner. Product designing is also one of the important areas in this health insurance scheme.
I think we are coming to end of this teleconference session.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have accident cover insurance for accident cover
Yes.
and medical insurance. Are they different or they're part of the same, like would the medical cover cover the accident as well and accidental injuries?
I think
And accident exclusively covers only for the accidental injuries sustained by whether it's...
Yes, there are
the philosophy is same, but
the products in terms of, like you have, even in the life insurance you have a critical like accidental insurance policy, plus you have in the motor vehicle policy also you have a accident
Coverage.
portion of it or coverage, and various other policies also, the general policies also cover this aspect, but a health insurance as such will specifically definitely cover this aspect of accidents and any emergencies which are coming. And that is why probably the cashless service would come very handy when you can just walk into the hospital in case of emergency with your insurance card, and they would provide at least the basic minimum requirement of emergency services.
I think this is the area which a lot of discussion can be generated and we can discuss for hours together, but I think we are constrained with the time and we have to wind it up here. I must thank Colonel Rao for being here on this Sunday and giving very useful inputs to our learners. Thanks to Dr. Gandhi. Thanks to Colonel Sharma for being with us and giving very useful inputs to our students. And I think this was the last teleconferencing of PGDHHM program, because you will be having your examination on 2nd, 4th and 5th of December.
First,
First,
First, third, and fourth, something like that. In the first week of December you will be having your exams. But in case it is felt, if the other peoples are, and the other reasons are listening to me, if I get some requests from the people, maybe say around 40-50, that there is these are the topics which need to be covered, Maybe then next month we will organize one teleconferencing. Otherwise, this is the last one. And but anyway, if you want to ask any question, you have got my email. You can always send this question. Maybe if I am not able to reply, I will get the answer from the respective experts and try to pass on to you. So with these words, I thank you all, those who are present here, those who are present at the regional centers, and the media team who have been supporting me for all these activities during this year. So with these words, we thank you and we'll meet you next year.